It's time to get our HD Nation on with Robert. You can find me down in the Binion. You look so Vegas, baby.
Yeah, it's my last day in town. You got to go out with style, baby.
It's the glasses. It's the dark. Are those? Tell me those are at least like reactive glasses.
They are, and they're prescription. So
okay.
I do need them.
Obviously, it's time for our HDTV updates with Mr. Heron. You want to start with Samsung, LG, or Vizio?
Let's take it from the top. Samsung had a pretty impressive display here with a brand new booth design that looked really good. They're highlighting really their new 7 and 8 series D series television. So you got the D7000, D8000 series, basically incorporating a very thin bezel design.
0.2 inch, all steel on the 8000, steel and acrylic on the 7000. You're telling me that the 8000, which is one of our picks, the C Series 8000, one of our picks is best, basically like the best LED LCD flat panel of 8000 or of 2010 of your 8000,
especially with edge-lit technology.
So you're saying it's going to take a step forward. It's not just the bezel, although we're obsessed with the bezel.
Thin.
But you're saying
thick.
Improvements in video technology, basically improvement in the video. Oh, you talk.
Video processing. It's basically they build their own system on a chip for handling up conversion and video processing to affect things like removing noise and scaling. And it's Samsung's own part. This is their 3rd generation part that's going into this TV, and it's one of the best I've seen so far.
So basically, and we should say right now, if you're like me thinking like I should wait to buy a new HDTV until the 8000 D series is out with the new bezel, it's going to be months. Like,
save up your cash.
Well, yeah, you have like 6 or 8 months to wait up for this one,
or get a good deal on what's currently out there. Of course, with the new series, you're going to have improvements in contrast and picture performance as well. Also, the integrated app store is a big deal. Samsung's Smart Hub technology. They were calling it Smart TV. I think they're going to change the name to Smart Hub. Right. It's basically the umbrella term for all of their apps as well as their 3D technology, pretty much everything that's being integrated into the sets themselves. And
they have a ton of apps. They have a bunch of, they did like a $200,000 grand prize app contest for developers. If you want to see more of those apps, check out our short Samsung segment that we did on the daily segment. LG and Vizio kind of tied together. Let's start with LG and their passive 3D technology.
Totally. This basically eliminates the need for active shutter glasses, the kind that we've known for about 30 years now. This is the same kind of 3D glass technology that you would use in the movie theater. And the benefits are really that you can have improved light performance as far as what can go through the lenses, and you have better viewing angles in terms of how you tilt your head to the picture. However, the main drawback is that with the current glasses, or the current passive technology, is that you lose half the picture resolution. And that's with, say, a Blu-ray movie. Now, if you're talking about broadcast 3D, the way they do that frame packing technology, you'll basically decimate it yet half again. So
not good.
What it's going to lead to probably is the introduction of 4K by 2K panels, 4,000 pixels by roughly 2,000 pixels. You're going to have to double the panel resolution in order to regain the lost pixels of this technology. And it's unlikely, at least for in the short term, that we're going to see this passive technology brought to plasma displays, because plasmas have a thicker sheet of glass typically on the front, and it makes the sweet spot so narrow that it's probably not very practical at this point.
So Vizio is purchasing LG's glass for their passive 3D HDTV, but that was not the cool thing. And Vizio coming out with their first cell phone. We're not even going to get into that right now. Let's talk about Vizio's 21:9 flat panels.
Totally. Their cinema screen, basically. This is a nice aspect ratio. That refers to the shape of the picture. We have a more square picture with the old tube TVs.
Bars.
Yeah, and with the 16:9, that stretched it, made it a more rectangular picture. But the stuff we watch in the movies, most movies that you see today are what they call CinemaScope.
2:3, 2.25 to 1.
Yeah, about 240 to 1 or 235 to 1 aspect ratio. This is a screen that matches that. So when you do watch those commercial movies, or you're basically most of your cinema, you can watch it without the letterbox.
Are we talking about like 100, a 70 inch, a 60 inch? What are the sizes?
They have 50 and a 56 inch screens coming out soon, and they're prototyping a 71 inch with local dimming technology, which is really good. The current models that Vizio is showing off are edge lit, which are great. And the nice thing about Vizio's setup that I like more than any of the other 21:9 screens I saw was the fact that when you're watching 16:9 content on it, it can slide that picture over to one side, and the remaining part of the screen can be used for their app store. So you're not wasting your picture, really, or you're not having to add black bars to the sides for your 16:9 HDTV content.
Which is pretty awesome. So we're kind of lukewarm about passive HD technology right now. What about Toshiba's glasses-free 3D demo? There were huge lines at the Toshiba.
I saw a lot of bad glasses-free 3D technology at the show. And quite frankly, one of the worst was Toshiba's demo. They had one that honestly looked the artifacts in general it was similar to what you'd get with interlaced content. There was a lot of feathering artifacts and line artifacts that you were just like, it wasn't that impressive. However, I will say some of the handheld portable devices that incorporated glasses-free 3D technology were pretty impressive. Sharp's booth had a cell phone, a smartphone technology that was being demonstrated that you could buy today that had a beautiful 3D screen. When you can hold it in your hand and move it around a little bit, it's easier to find that sweet spot to get the 3D effect. And there was some cool functionality in the Sharp phones as well, where you could actually adjust the depth of field for the content you were looking at. That was pretty cool.
Probably the big surprise of the show, JVC had some gorgeous new projectors. You got to see those on the show floor. Let's see that package right now.
The creme de la creme in the JVC booth is their DILA-based front projector, a 3-chip system that uses basically 3 chips to provide 1080p resolution and full motion performance, as well as good light output. The best one they have currently will be the Dla X9. This is the very first THX certified 3D front projector. Now, because they're doing 3D with shutter glasses to get full resolution support, they basically need to up the light output. So they took it from last year's 200-watt bulb system to a 220-watt lamp system instead. Also, it uses JVC's 3rd generation optical engine with improved wire grid polarizer, which is really good because the polarizer was what was enabling them this new design with the wire grid. It features less crosstalk as the light travels through it, so you're actually getting darker blacks and brighter whites, so it takes the contrast of the picture from last year's 70,000 to 1 to 100,000 to 1, which it's really at the top end. But arguably one of my favorite control features on these new projectors, the X9 and the X7 in particular, is LAN control. You run an Ethernet cable into the back of the projector, you connect it to your computer, and you're able through a web interface, browser-based, to control the projector and calibrate it and do all the setup features remotely. Very, very nice. Now for the X7 and X9, that THX certification, JVC claims it improved the overall quality of the picture by about 20%. So taking it through that process and paying extra for that certification seemed to work out in their favor. But for an entry-level projector, the X3, for a $4,500 price point, that's going to get a lot of people interested in home projection with extreme amounts of quality that even a couple of years ago would have been arguably 2, 3, up to 10 times more money than it is today.
You had a couple more things you saw at JVC.
Yeah, well, particularly about the X7 and X9 new projectors. One is that they're achieving these contrast levels without a dynamic iris, which compared to some of the other technologies out there, the other projectors you'll see, they do these, it's like a dynamic contrast system where you can create these really inflated claims of how much contrast you're getting. JVC is able to produce such dark blacks, that's how they're hitting these levels of contrast. Also, it incorporates an HQV-based video processing system, so if you're feeding it standard def, it's going to look pretty darn good. It's one of the better video processing systems you can get on a piece of consumer gear anyway. And also, it incorporates 120 hertz display technology as well, so you can do either smoothing, which you hate, or you can do a nice 5.5 for a good cinema view.
I'm trying to warm up to the smoothing. It's just not working.
Dude, I'm with you. It just doesn't look right.
Especially on movies.
If it's shot in 24p, show it in 24p.
So, you got your media badge on, you're walking around the show floor, and suddenly the dreaded and sometimes exciting moment when a PR person walks up and says,
"What are you here to see exactly?"
The arm grab is the important part of that.
And I'm like, well, I'm here to cover, HDTV home theater gear. And they say, oh, perfect, follow me. Serendipity. They just dragged me into a private room, not on the main show floor, where they introduced a new TV that I'd never seen before, a company called Elocity, and they showed off, I believe it was a 50-inch LCD screen with the passive 3D technology.
And it looked good.
The glass is free. Not passive, but glasses-free technology. It was the best looking I had seen on the show floor. I had seen a lot of bad 3D. This was arguably the best one from a company I'd never heard of. They do specialize. Elocity specializes in digital signage, which is where all of the glasses-free 3D technology started. However, they're working on now a consumer version that'll be out later in 2011 that's going to be available. And you are losing half the resolution, but it didn't have those artifacts that annoyed me so much with Toshiba's demonstration. And they also had a demonstration of a 10-inch picture frame as well that had the same 3D technology. So if you want to get the effect on with your photos, either pseudo 3D, where it'll take your 2D photos and convert it with software, or if you actually have a 3D camera already, you can do still photography and display it in its native format.
So we're going to wait till later in 2011, hopefully see Elocity's technology in action. Let's go back to passive 3D for a second versus active 3D technology. Does it mostly suck? Is that too cruel?
You know what? It shares some of the same problems that we have with the liquid crystal shutter glasses, in that we're losing brightness because of the film that they have to put on the front of the screen. Yes, the glasses themselves transmit more light, but you have to cut that light at the source by using that new filter technology. Also, because of that, you have to increase power consumption in order to regain that brightness. And that applies to not only, liquid crystal shutter glasses, but even the projection systems that we looked at. They have to up the light output in order to maintain a good looking picture. So yes, on top of all the similar issues that they have, you still have the loss of resolution. And that's really kind of a big one for me. Now, if you're sitting far enough away, it doesn't matter, because you're not going to be able to perceive that detail
anyway. If you're like
anyway.
6-8 feet from your HDTV.
But if you're really paying attention to your pixels, you will notice the difference. Netflix delivers movies directly to your home, saving you time, money, and hassle. As a Netflix member, you can instantly watch thousands of TV episodes and movies streaming directly to your PC, Mac, or right to your TV via a Netflix-ready device like the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and the Nintendo Wii console. Plus, get DVDs by mail in about 1 business day. Watch as many movies as you want. Shipping is free, and there are never any late fees or due dates. Keep the movies as long as you like. DVDs by mail, plus instantly right to your TV. Get unlimited movies 2 ways for 1 low monthly price. As a new member and TechZilla viewer, you can get a free trial membership. Go to www.netflix.com/TechZilla and sign up now. Be sure to use this URL so that they know we sent you.